Check, check, test, test. Just check it in. Get my camera on here. How do I flip my camera? How do I flip my camera? Good thing no one's here. What's going on? Private streaming. Settings. Camera. Camera one facing front. I guess I could flip it. Studio. Mic is on. Camera. Yeah, there. Get a little. I don't know if that's coming through. Can't really see anything. How that kind of stuff. That is down on the lower cell. I think I need something in between. Victoria Bay. I know the picture's probably not that good. Hong Kong. About 42, 43 floors up. Looking across the bay to Hong Kong mainland from Hong Kong Island. My wife and son are out down below on the harbor wall, running around. I came back up to use the turlet, grab a little cash. And we're going to go down and see if we can hunt out a place to get a little 11 p.m. ice cream. Hong Kong is a kind of a shutdown town at 10 o'clock. We're in more of a local area than a tourist area. But I just thought I'd touch base. It's been a few weeks. Let you know where I'm at, how I'm doing. It's been a fantastic vacation. We were Hong Kong for about 7 or 8 days. Then we dropped down to I am sleepy. Holy shit, Alan. Alan Killian says I sound sleepy. It's 11 o'clock at night right now. My son is still running around like a lunatic because he knows vacation is coming to a close, and he's heading back to school in about a week. My my boy woke up this morning and he's like, "Am I going home today? Are we going back to the Philippines today?" And I was like, "No, buddy, we got a couple days left." And he's like, "I want to play with my friends." friends. And I was like, all right, buddy, I'll get you on the plane today if you want to. And he's like, he looked at me and he's like, no. So we're still here. I made detour back to the Philippines. I was scheduled to leave out late in the week, but things are a wee bit fucked up after the CrowdStrike Microsoft fiasco. So I think there's still like some airport delays and shit like that. My wife's niece, who is a beautiful young lady, about 30 years old, got married a year ago, and she's pregnant. She had a due date middle of August, and she actually uh, had a premature birth at the beginning to middle of July, and her daughter was born at 1.74 kilos, which is about 3.5 pounds. So we were gonna forego our Singapore leg and head over to the Philippines. My wife's niece and her husband, young couple. I think he's 29, she's 30. This is their first child. They were married a year ago in June, and they got whacked with some pretty serious hospital bills because the baby's been in neonatal intensive care unit for I think like 10 days. And kind of a weird setup in the Philippines. The medical costs are much lower than in the US. Um, but you have to pay the bill in full or they will not discharge you from the hospital. So we were going to hop over to the Philippines and go visit my wife's niece, who is a kind, caring, and beautiful young lady. A lot of the charitable work I do in the Philippines with the dissemination of school supplies and food and whatnot, she really actively helps facilitate. So, in her time of need, we were going to go over, but then there's a whole thing with getting into the hospital post COVID and the fact that the baby's in an intensive care unit. Um, so, you know, I did what I could. I wired a pretty good chunk of money over so they could focus on taking care of their newborn and, not have to worry about the financial stresses. This morning, we got the last of the bills paid off. And I believe, I haven't gotten word yet, but they should have been, the newborn and the mother should have been released from the hospital today, and they should by this time be home. So I'll have a little video of the newest addition to our clan in the Philippines, which is a very beautiful baby girl that weighs, I think she's right around 4 pounds at the time they were released from the hospital. So things are going good. But we did wind up going to Singapore. So we did, I think it was 8 or 9 days in Hong Kong. And then I surprised my son and we jumped down to Singapore and then crossed the river into Malaysia, the Johor area, and took him to Legoland for 5 days, 4 nights, 5 days, which he was just out of his mind, going crazy. It's a beautiful facility. I think the hotel room ran about $400 or $500 a day, but it was worth the money to, stay in the resort hotel. They have a theme park and they have a theme park, roller coaster rides, stuff like that. And then they had a water park But I had to drag my son. We went to the theme park first day because I knew if I took him to the water park, that would all we would be doing is going to the water park, going back to the hotel. The hotel lobby is beautiful. They just have pits with Lego blocks in them. In fact, the first day we got there, my son and I just sat and built. I built a bridge. He wanted me to build him an airplane. I built him an airplane, and then I built a kind of like an architectural setting with a little landscape, kind of a Japanese style pagoda. And my son and I just played with Legos for like 7 hours. My wife was like bored to stitches, and she's like, "I'm going up to the room," and we're like, "All right, cool, see you later." So yeah, it's been a great bonding experience with my son. For people who just came into the room, I will show another shot of Hong Kong Harbor before I cut out. Though I was, I think, like 3 days before I left for the vacation. Um, I was at work and I was goofing around with one of the valets, and we were racing back and forth, parking lot, retrieving cars, and I had my phone in my hand, and I'm running along. I was sweating. It was hot. This kid's young, and he's a hustler. So, my 57-year-old ass was working overtime to keep up with him, and I was sweating bullets. And I was running with my phone in my hand, and my phone slipped out of my hand, and I just saw it go straight for the ground, and I caught it with the inside of my foot, kind of like a hacky sack kick. And I'm like, oh, I got it, I saved it. And the phone, I I kicked it too hard. It flipped right up past my face and over to the left and just smashed the fucking screen, useless. So I didn't have time to pick up a new phone. So I was digging through my bins up in the house, and I found an old Alcatel phone that would work with the SIM card. So rather than waste a couple hours going to hunt down a new Samsung, I just popped the SIM card in this and been working with this because I'm on vacation. So yeah, I haven't really done much internet shit. I did have two encounters with uh, generally specific. The first was yeah, I called him out on his Christian doctrine. He's a dude who claims he's only read about a quarter of the Bible, and yet he's speculating on, the creation account in the Old Testament. The first, uh, the first back and forth we had, where I went up on his panel, I guess later in the stream, uh, Guadalupe Guacamole had porn bombed him, so the stream got taken down, which I was kind of disappointed with because there were some key points that in the conversation between myself and generally specific that really highlight the fact that this is a guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, but adamantly claims some kind of knowledge about something he's barely scratched the surface of. And then last night, uh, I forget what the name of the broadcast was, but there's like a street sign, old wooden type street sign with the arrow end on it pointing in one direction and then a sign below it pointing in the other direction. And about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the live stream, um, I got up on panel and I was just talking to them about, why they were doing what they were doing. They were the one of someone generally specific knows had engaged Kent Hovind in a debate on the creation account in Genesis, and they were focused on, what the actual time length of day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, day six in Genesis was. And I just kind of pointed out to them that these are not issues worth arguing about in Christianity, in the Christian faith, because if you believe that the day one of creation is a million years, or if you believe it's 24 hours, it's not going to affect your salvation in any way. It's not a salvific issue. So it's mildly idiotic for an individual who's openly claims to only have read a quarter of the Bible to be, you know, engaging in this type of conversation or critique of a debate. Um, and I think his true colors really showed. Of course, uh, Biscuits and Groovy was there, telling him I was drunk, and he was also there saying that I advocate um, children enjoying being, you know, the Dearman situation. And just to clarify that for Biscuits and Diuretics, you dumb fuck, you Dan supporter, you Shuggy Jaffa Cake eater. Uh, what I said Demon enjoyed was the power that of relating a fictitious story in an attempt to keep people from speaking about God. Whatever Dearman's problem with God is, Dearman's problem with God is. But, Dearman tried to manipulate me by claiming that he had been touchy touched by a Catholic priest at a young age. And then, later on in our conversations, it's still in the post show comments where, Dearman said that he and his people played me so well. So I don't regret calling you out for your bullshit, Dearman. And Biscuits and Groovy, if you're going to be that kind of disingenuous, you'll reap what you sow in the end. So Anthony White is with us in the chat. First in the chat says, "Welcome back. Hope you had a great vacation." Vacation is still going on, and there is a chance, depending on how difficult it's going to be to reschedule flights. I may extend a little bit now that my niece and her daughter have been released from the hospital. I may actually head back to the Philippines with my wife and son. Although when I called into work to talk to the partners at work about it, I got them, like they were thrilled on not having me back when I was scheduled to be back. So there's a couple factors flapping in the breeze. The ability to reschedule flights without, eating the cost of tickets, which, I can afford to do. So I'm not really worried about that. But I'm waiting on approval from the boys back in the U.S. at work. So I have to get those two hurdles cleared. Other than that, and it has been a phenomenal vacation. We're 22, 23 days into vacation. It is it's 11:17 p.m. here, and I imagine back in the States it's about noontime, a little before lunch. So we've wrapped up 22 days of vacation. We've been Hong Kong, Singapore, back to Hong Kong. We've seen a total of 3 days of rain. It's been just fucking beautiful. Hot in the 90s. A little humid back this last leg in Hong Kong. Singapore was stunningly beautiful. Absolutely beautiful city. The goal for Singapore city planning is literally to convert Singapore. Singapore is one of the greenest cities in Southeast Asia, maybe even in the world, about half the size of London in area, footprint. Um, but the goal of Singapore is to become a city that exists inside a garden. And Singapore is just phenomenally beautiful. So we did the Singapore Flyer, the largest observation wheel in Southeast Asia. The largest observation wheel in the world is in Las Vegas, in the US. And we did the Botanical Garden, the Cloud Dome, and the Flower Dome, which very beautifully had a Monet inspired flower exhibit, which was just beyond gorgeous. So I was a bit of a gardener as a young kid. Growing up, I, having the property we have in the Philippines and doing some regenerative farming. So, just to kind of touch base with the whole gardening and flower growing that spurred my interest in regenerative farming as an adult. Uh, it was really good to be at the Flower Dome in Singapore and just see what a nearly unlimited budget and some good professional planning can bring about. I have a photo for carte blanche of me in front of the sign for the Australian portion of the Flower Dome in Singapore. We did the Cloud Dome, Flower Dome, Singapore Flyer. We did the zoo at Singapore in Singapore. It was phenomenal. My son was just blown away by the size of giraffes, and he got to see lions in real life for the first time. Also, here in Hong Kong, we took my wife, my son, and I took a transport ferry across the harbor to go to mainland Hong Kong and stroll around for the day. And I hadn't realized it, but it was the first time. My son's 7 years old. It was the first time he was ever on a boat, and he was just thrilled to death. We've been on the same ferry 2 or 3 times since that trip, just because it's what he wants to do. He wants to take a boat every day. He wants to go to the pool, the rooftop pool at the hotel. He wants to go to the park at night, and he wants to take a boat ride. So he's been doing a lot of that. Took him to the Maritime Museum in Hong Kong. Saw some pre-Western influence Chinese shipbuilding and Chinese ship models. My son, I guess, my wife told me after the fact, after we left the Maritime Museum, my son ran up to me. I was, he just gets way ahead in the exhibits. I like to take my time and look at everything. And he was way ahead of me, and he came running back, screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, the billion-dollar boat." He's dragging me off to see this kind of large model of a cruise ship that's got water slides on it, swimming pools, a literal soccer field, a climbing wall. It's just he had a blast. He had a blast. So touching base, Anthony White first in the chat. Vacation's still going on, bro. Thank you for the well wishing. Alan Killian says you sound sleepy. I'm pretty tired, man. I've been chasing my son around for 4 weeks. It's all day, every day. It's wearing me down. Laura Rader says, "Oh wow, so scary to hear that." I'm assuming that's a comment about my niece's newborn child. Oh, then Laura says, "Not sure what's happening, but I heard baby in neonatal unit. Um, Laura says, well, congratulations. Laura, just a quick update in case you weren't here for it. My my niece, my wife's niece, my niece by marriage, who is just a kind-hearted, beautiful young lady. Got married a year ago in June, and pregnant with their first child, and the baby was born prematurely. I think 3 or 4 weeks premature, and 1.74 kilos. So I think that translates through. It's 2.2 pounds per kilo. It's like 3.5 pounds. It's definitely shy of 4 pounds. It's a pretty small baby. She had a blood infection, the newborn, not my niece. So the baby was in intensive NCIU, intensive care for newborns. So I believe they were released from the hospital today. I haven't gotten the confirmation yet, but hopefully they're back home and doing well. The baby was about just shy of 4 pounds when they left the hospital. We had the same thing, well, not the same thing, but we had a similar thing happen with my son when he was born. About 5 hours after my son was born, his white blood cell count spiked like really high. So they, after 3 days, they discharged my wife, but they weren't going to discharge my son. So I'm like, really want to take my son home with me. Uh, I didn't want to leave him in the hospital. So we made an arrangement with the doctor. My son had to get two shots in the morning and one shot in the afternoon. So they gave me the uh, stuff that needed to be administered to him, and a pile of syringes, and then they made me promise to take him to the clinic and have a nurse administer the shots to him once in the morning and then once in the afternoon. Of course, we agreed to that. We did that. My son moved past his momentary frailty and has turned into quite the energetic young lad. He's an only child. I worry about him at times, that he's socially acclimated, not, overly spoiled. And it's amazing when I take him out, like a couple, one, two city blocks, and then a highway, walkway overpass, and we're in a park on the harbor on Victoria Bay. And, the park closes at 10 o'clock. Of course, my wife and son are still down there because my son refuses to leave. So, we bring them down there almost every night. There's, a new batch of kids playing in the playground every night, and my son just gets in the groove, no problem making friends, and the rest of it runs around like a lunatic till he falls out. I've had to carry him home a couple times. Holy shit, he weighs a ton at age 7. It's amazing. So I don't know how good my internet connection is. If you're even hearing this, Alan Killian's with us. Says good morning to Laura Rader. Laura Rader says hello, Alan Killian. Hello, Coded. No time for manners today. Huh. Take a break from manners if you need to, Laura. Laura Rader says you need a phone leash. I did. Well, that's why I don't buy expensive phones. So, I buy $100 throwaway Galaxy phones, Samsung phones, because I just break shit. If I can get a $10 pair of sunglasses, they'll last me a year. If I ponied up and bought an expensive pair of Ray-Bans, but before the day's over, I wind up sitting on the fucking things and breaking them. Cheap is the way for me to go when it comes to non-necessary items. Bandit says, good. Thumbs up, day people. I thought you did a great job at GS's place yesterday. I don't think he got it though, Bandit. I don't think he got it at all. Were you there live or did you catch it after the fact? Laura Raider says, hey to Bandit. Jeff, that's all is with us, says, hey to all. Bandit says, hey to Laura. Laura says, yeah, I keep missing the GS interactions. And apparently Lupe porn bombed one and got it removed, so I didn't get to see it at all. I mean, the whole porn bombing thing, you just edit out the porn bomb part or blur it and then put the video back up. All you lose is the side chat. It's so fucking immature to do shit like that. But you know, that's the whole fucking shiz world. Um, Shiz ran, she's running the Kaiser streams that Kaiser deleted. Good on her for doing that. Although she kind of the first one she ran was Kaiser's apology, whatever, after Dan outed his felonies. And she tried to include me as though I was a fucking Kaiser supporter. Been clear from the beginning, Shiz, and you know it better than anyone because we were actually, you know, air quotes, friends at that point in time. You know the reason, you know my motivation why I went and showed him support. It was one substance abuser reformed to another substance abuser because he was blaming all his problems on substance abuse. I think it's kind of disingenuous of Shiz to have, painted that in any other light than what it was. I gave him good advice. He chose not to follow it, and I have not shown him an inkling of support since that. So, but you made a confession or two in that fucking stream, Shiz, and when I get back to the States, we'll take a little look at what you had to say. Alan Killian says, good morning, Bandit 2804. Laura Rader says, hey, Jeff, that's all. Jody D is here. Says, it was needed. The vacation or the generally specific interaction? I think both. I definitely needed the vacation. This month has just been beautiful, extremely beautiful. Bit of a downer because I found out about my niece's uh, the premature birth of her baby early into the first week, second week of the vacation. So it was kind of a little bit of a downer. Uh, I was genuinely concerned about her, more her than I was the baby, to be honest with you. Because I know her, I don't. I mean, I had the concern for, you know, newborn that was in ill health, but the my niece and I have a pretty tight bond. We're actually close friends. And, uh, when a person who is, for lack of a better term, angelic, uh, this young lady is a girl who would literally walk a mile out of her way to avoid stepping on anyone's toes. To see a person like that have to go through the worry and the woe that comes with you know, a newborn that could pass at any moment. Uh, it makes you scratch your head every once in a while because she's not the kind of person that deserves to have to go through that type of suffering in life. But it's a dice roll, and We suffer what we must, and we overcome what we can. Jeff That's All says, whatever do you mean? He's a legend in his own mind. That's for sure. Laura Rader says, legendary delusions of grandeur. The thing I see with GS is that, like, he can say, I've only read a small portion of the Bible, but he can't say that he doesn't have comprehensive understanding. And the Bible isn't. The, the analogy I used when I was engaging him was you don't go to kindergarten, you don't go to first grade and start teaching calculus. Everybody's going to look at you like you're talking fucking Greek. Mathematics is a process of layered learning. Understanding Christian doctrine is a process of layered learning. There are things you have to know before you can comprehend deeper issues. And there are things you don't need to know. I mean, the entirety of the Bible is there. God put it there for a reason, but you don't need to know how long day one of creation was. No one does. God put it there so that if you ran out of things to wonder about, you could wonder about that. But there's more important stuff to get down first. And I think that message missed GS. And I think GS is being led along literally like a bull calf with a brass ring in his nose by individuals who have fallacious arguments that they've worked on for years. And generally specific is just one of those guys that for accolades and attaboys will, just yep, mm-hmm. While he admits he's not qualified to judge what the individual is telling him, but will easily import it into his belief system. That seems perilous to me. Logan Sandman is with us. What up, Logan? Oh, that's how you. I just figured out how to highlight comments on my phone. Laura Rader says, morning to Jody D. Laura Rader says, hey to Logan. Bandit says, hey to hi, Alan. Wow, the print on this is even smaller than my fucking laptop. Jeff That's All says, if I'm not mistaken, there's a very specific passage about false prophets in the Bible. GS may want to review it. It's not. It's not. Well, in the broader sense of false prophet, you could categorize the people around generally specific as that, but more and even more detrimental because false prophecy is easy to call out. It's easy to show a false prophet for a false prophet. People who corrupt doctrine, though, it can be more difficult because they play semantic games with words. See, the issue, I'm going to hold on to it. It's a simple issue. The guy who was buddies with Generally Specific, who debated Kent Hovind, why you why you would waste your time debating Kent Hovind is beyond me. Kent Hovind is an individual who claims to be a Christian, does a lot of talking about biblical things, but I've never heard, I've been aware of Kent Hovind for 15 years or more. I've never heard Kent Hovind speak in regards to salvation. So why you would engage an individual like that is just beyond me. These are individuals who want to, they want to puff up their chest. Well, you're right. They're pillow prophets. They tell people what they want to hear, not the truth. Man, generally specific has a 10-man echo chamber. That's for sure. That's for fucking sure. Jody D says they booted a French guy and called him drunk when he told them they were like dogs sniffing on a trail. That doesn't exist. Holy fuck, is that's a perfect metaphor for what's going on over at Generally Specific. Thank you for posting that, Jody. Ellen Killian says good morning to Logan. Logan says hey to Alan. Laura Rader says LOL sniffing for truffles that don't exist. Was it truffles or trail? No, sniffing on a trail that doesn't exist. I think I like the trail better than the truffles, though I understand the truffles metaphor. Jody D says, good morning, Coded and chat. The man's name is Richard Madsen. Demolish doctrine. Yeah, he should demolish his own fucking doctrine. His doctrines are stupid. What he did was he took Genesis 1 2, and the earth was void and without form. And he said, no, no, the Greek doesn't say was void, it says became void. So that must mean the earth already existed before God created. And then he posited this, what's commonly known as gap theory. It's not even anything original to Richard. It's just bullshit doctrine he picked up along the way. And when he tells it, people, unlearned people are like, wow, that's so wise. So he gets his accolades for it. Uh, Generally Specific is fallen under the spell. If you go to Bible Hub, there are 31 different biblical translations of Genesis 1 2. The NRSV, the World English Bible, the Dewey Rains. There's 31 different Bibles. Bible Hub will pull Genesis 1 2 for you. So 31 out of 31 historical translations going all the way back to the King James, and there might be one that's an even older translation than the King James. So we're talking about a 600-year time span, the 1600s to 2000. Sorry, a 400-year time span, and 31 different scholarly translations, and all 31 unanimously say the earth was void and without form. But this Richard retard is going to come along and say, well, historically it's wrong, and every scholar that's ever interpreted Genesis 1 2 has gotten it wrong, because it should say the earth became void, not was void. And like Generally Specific, not knowing doctrine or how to deal with this, isn't even smart enough to Google actual biblical translations and see that no one translates Genesis 1 2 as became void instead of was void. So this guy Richard is trying to posit the idea that the earth already existed before man was put on the earth, and that the angels inhabited the earth after the fall of Satan, which is, you couldn't read scripture and come up with that idea at all. In fact, one counter argument that I never got to with Richard for Generally Specific's benefit, like I talk Generally Specific, another thing with him is like right off the rip, he's like, you're attacking me. You're attacking me. Stop attacking me. You're not being attacked, Generally Specific. You're being corrected. There's a big difference. You're supposed to be ex-military. You claim to be a hoorah, get it done kind of guy on the battlefield. But when it comes to a verbal back and forth, you're a fucking pussy, bro. You are a thin-skinned fucking pussy. You crack quicker than Humpty Dumpty. So, my wife and son just came back from the park, so I'm gonna wrap this up and play a little Kings in the Corner, old card game I played with my grandma while I get him settled down, unwound, and shower him up and get him ready for bed. I will be back in the States in about a week or so, and we'll get back to broadcasting regularly. Thank you to everybody who popped in tonight. I'm just going through the comments quick. I heard, yeah, what a crazy month it's been. Trump got shot in the ear, and Biden withdrew from the re-election campaign. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot that's going on for the past month. Have uh, 40 some odd Oh, lost my internet connection there. Hello, Miss Mandy. Bob Newhart and Dr. Ruth died? Damn it. Don't ruin my vacation, Logan. Bob Newhart died? Shannon Doherty, Richard Simmons? Wow. I don't think I've been muted. I think my internet connection's just bad and failing. So, all right, I'll give you this. Hopefully, this comes through. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Here I am in the window. Hong Kong, mountainside, city view. A little bit shaky. All right, kids, I'll catch you when I'm back in the States. Have a good time. Later.